Good morning, Drive Radio fans. This is Richard Rush here with John Rush, and we are going to review the Infiniti QX80 this morning. And I just want to apologize for the shadows. We're out here early in the morning. We've had a few windy days here in Colorado. We want to avoid the noise that comes from that. So we'll start off. As you can see, it's a bigger car, definitely, and I will say that when you drive this car, it feels larger, but at the same time, you don't feel so large that you're going to cover up the entire road. It's a great feeling car. It sits 7, and it gives you the ability to lower those seats, which we'll go inside here in a second.
And this car, Richard, real quick, competes with Tahoe, Yukon, so that Denali series, really probably even more so the Escalade because of its price. It's even actually above price-wise. We'll get into that in a minute, but it's actually a higher price than what you're going to get out of a full-bore Denali. Maybe not the new 2015 models, but in some of the previous generations. Because this car is what, right around?
This car is just under 80,000, 79,095, I believe.
So that's a real big competitor to the Escalade, and that's the size of the vehicle. So we want to make sure that you'll see that in the video, but a lot of folks probably aren't super familiar with the QX80, but it is their full-size 7-passenger if you get it seated correctly. This one is actually what, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, so this one is the 7-passenger that we're going to show you today. As Richard said, fold-down seats. We'll show you how some of that stuff works. But Richard, real quick, why don't you give us a walk around? And again, apologize for the shadows, but as Richard said, we've had a ton of wind lately, so we're going to try to do this, and just don't mind the shadows and try to get around it. But Richard, give us a walk around real quick.
All right, so first off, we'll start at the front. You can kind of see in driving, this is not a complaint, but just something you have to get used to. This front part right here kind of bubbles up, and so when you're driving down the road, it kind of looks like this dips down and bubbles. It gives it a different look to it. It's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just more of a personal preference. So I would recommend driving this car beforehand. Just it gives you the added, drive all cars before you buy them, of course, because it shows you what you're going to look at the entire time you're driving. A cool feature that I noticed is right here, Dad, and I don't know if you can get in here, this is the camera. This is one of, I believe it's 6 cameras on here, or 4 cameras, something like that. This is part of the added package that you can get, which what this will allow you to do is when you're close up, or when you're pulling up to someone, or even at a stoplight or parking, and we'll even show you around here on the mirrors, there's cameras all the way around this vehicle, which gives you sort of an overhead view. It's very cool technology. It's new technology. There's another camera right here on this mirror, another camera on that mirror, and another camera in the rear. So it gives you a full 4-view cameras, and it switches back and forth. So that's a nice added package. It's a good amount of money. It's about, I believe it's about $3,000 extra, $3,500 extra. But an added feature, you can see the running boards here. It does have the keyless unlock, so you don't have to ever really pull out your key fob. You can just touch the button, it'll automatically unlock it, and we'll lock it. So it locks, you hit it again, it unlocks it again. It looks very similar to the 2015 model of this, which by the way, you'll notice in the 2015 Infiniti QX80, it looks a little bit differently. They've done a little bit of styling changes on it. However, the back looks the same. One thing you will notice, and Dad, if you can get the side view, is this bumper is pretty pronounced. It's not something that, once again, it's not bad. It's just something that takes a little bit getting used to. The tailgate, once again, is fully automatic, as you would expect from a car this stature. Here's your rear view camera again. You can obviously pull it off for towing if you need to.
So that bottom piece is the cover where the receiver hitch, and that would be, so because this again is a full-size vehicle. You can tow, the tow ratings on it you can look up. I don't have those off the top of my head, but you know, my recommendation, and we talked about this even on the show here a couple of weeks ago, is, you know, the manufacturers will rate these cars to tow a lot more than probably I would personally haul. You know, this particular vehicle, if it were me, and sorry Infiniti for saying this, but I wouldn't haul anything over probably 5,000 pounds with this vehicle. That's just me personally. I know it may be rated higher than that, but I think 5,000 pounds on any type of a 4-door, this is still an SUV. It's not a Suburban. It doesn't have that long wheelbase to it. Just me personally, and again, I'm sorry Infiniti for saying this, but I wouldn't haul anything over 5,000 pounds. I'm sure this vehicle is rated for more than that, but that's just what I would, you know, what we at Drive Radio would recommend. I always like to err on the safer side when it comes to towing, having more vehicle than you need. That just avoids safety issues on down the road when you start hauling, especially bigger trailers. Real quick, too, Richard, I wanted to mention that, you know, Richard's mom, my wife, and sorry again, Infiniti, but she does not like the looks of this vehicle. She does not like the big rounded look. Hopefully the 2015s, I haven't showed her pictures of that yet to get her opinion of that, but this is not one of her favorite looking cars. Infiniti must have known that. It must be why they're making some changes for 2015. She just thinks it's really, really big, even though it's not any bigger than vehicles she's driven in the past. Tahoe, you know, Denali, etc. Escalade even she owned for a while. You know, it's not any bigger than those vehicles, but to her it just is perceived to be bigger because of the if you notice down the sidelines, and just real quick, I'll just show you, and I know it's dark, but there's just no lines. It's just one big rounded vehicle, and I think that makes the vehicle appear to be bigger than what it is. But show us the back end, Richard, and even what we need to look at inside.
Well, it does, Dad, and I've had several friends ride in it, and they've said the same thing, that it looks bigger than it is. It's not as big, but it just, like you said, those rounded lines. And real quick on the powertrain side of it, it does have a 400 horsepower engine,
which works, by the way.
It does.
Fantastic.
It works better. I mean, and this is the LX that we reviewed a few weeks ago.
The Lexus LX.
The Lexus LX. I'm sorry. That's a $90,000 car, and we've just felt that one was a little bit underpowered. Like the looks of it better, but we felt this was adamant. And real quick, we're showing the electronic controls for this. And one thing different about this is with the Lexus or any of the other ones I've noticed, if you hit the button, it automatically takes the seat down. Whereas with the Infiniti, you have to bring it up manually. And so if right here, if I stop, it stops. So it gives you a little bit more control.
Go ahead and go all the way up with that real quick.
And we'll continue to go up. And as you can see, it has your basic, I guess, cargo cover right here. And even with this seat up, and you can actually kind of go back to where it's reclining a little bit if you want for the passenger in the back, or you know, if you want normal.
And I think
right here.
You know, to stop you there for a second, Richard, I think that's why they make that a manual up and down, is because you can adjust the angle of the seat when it's not totally automatic, which is, you know, kind of a pain to have to sit there and let it go, you know, hold the button while the seat's going all the way up and down. But the cool feature about it is you can actually make it so that you can recline the seat just a little bit, and so that's kind of cool. Real quick too, and I'm zooming in so we can kind of get rid of some shadows. I know it's hard to see the back end space, but what do you got? About 18 inches or so of space behind that seat with it up?
18 inches to 24 inches by, I mean, whatever the width of the car is, and really, you know, if you're towing around this many people, you're gonna have plenty of room anyways. I mean, back here, it gives you a solid room to put, you know, several bags of groceries lined up on here, or if you're going to Costco.
And if you're going to go to the airport and pick up somebody with a bunch of luggage, etc., you're probably not going to get all of them in here in the back with all of their luggage. You'll need a car top carrier or something along those lines, because you're going to get 2 suitcases maybe in the back of this, a couple of golf bags. That's kind of a way to maybe look at that. You're not going to get any more than that with the seats up. Now with the seats down, hey, game on. You can put it whatever you want to in the back of it.
Exactly. So with that, and you can see also real quick, it does have headrests in the back that you can fold up, which is a nice added feature. But with that, we'll go around to the front side and talk about a little bit about that.
Lighting. So you can kind of see that way that, yeah, Richard's got plenty of room, looking good, no issues that way at all.
And it does have the rear entertainment package. It's an additional package. They do swivel in the seats. So if you wanted to put them out, they kind of go back in. I will say this, it's different than a Tahoe in the sense that there's no through path here.
Yeah, they put a console back here.
These captain's chairs. Full console here, so I mean, if you are taking a long road trip with this car, which you're going to get about probably 20 miles to the gallon, 16 miles average, it's definitely an added benefit, more storage. I will say one thing about...
By the way, that's the rear seat access. You saw me, I just kind of flipped up a little lever. Rear seat access in and out, which makes it really nice.
I will say, and we'll take you in the front. You can do that from here, or if you're sitting in the front seat, you can do that power, which is definitely an added bonus there. So with that, let's go on to the front and we'll show you what's going on there. Great. It's typical Infiniti interior, typical shift knob. You know, it's an automatic transmission. Here is your gear selector, and then here is your all-wheel drive. This is an all-wheel drive car, so it will be in 4 wheels all the time. There's different modes, tow mode, snow mode, 4 high, 4 low, that sort of thing. The Infiniti system, we're not as much of a fan of as other ones.
Why don't you go ahead and turn the car on real quick so they can kind of see what it looks like. We'll just show them.
So when you turn up, it's just, for me personally, it's just a little different of a...
It's a little antiquated, I guess would be the best way of Richard's trying to say. Now, it is still all a voice command, so you can operate it that way, but if you're somebody that likes to touch your way through the the system, navigate through with hand controls. Richard, kind of put your arm out there and you kind of see what we mean by this. It's quite a reach to do that. It's tough to even touch the screen. You can get that knob pretty easily. Now, if you were 6'2", had really long arms, probably wouldn't be an issue, but some of you that are shorter, that would be a little bit more difficult.
And I will note that in some of these cars, you're able to change everything either via the touch screen or via this. Whereas this car, you have to use a combination of the push buttons in there. So, for example, if I'm in the map section, I have to use another one of the buttons to get to something else. So if I want to go to the info screen, it'll pull that up.
Now you can now touch the screen.
Now I can touch it and do things with that, and I can go back. But even if I go back from that, it's going to take me back to the map. So if you're in the map, it's different. I will show you one cool feature. So here, this is a camera button, which you're not going to find on most of the cars, and it'll be different since the doors are open. But if you hit the camera button, it shows you the view that we were kind of talking about. And so even when I turn the car, it'll show everything turning. So right now it's giving us a front view.
And actually, why don't you real quick do the backup, because it actually shows backup also.
So if we go in the reverse,
and I shut the hatch so you can kind of see what's in the back. Turn the steering wheel again, Richard, so you can kind of see what we're talking about.
And so it'll show you where to go, show your distance. It works great, I will say, for what it.
Yeah. And just real quick, just so everybody knows, we're not trying to knock Infiniti's system. It's just different. I mean, once you get used to it, like any other vehicle, it's really not a big issue. It's just not as convenient as if that knob, for example, were down here and you could adjust all of the stuff up on the screen from down below. You just don't have as long of a stretched. And again, this is a system Infiniti has used for a number of years now. I'm not saying that's bad, but we both feel like it's due for a refresh, especially in the way it's controlled. Right, Richard? Now, as far as the steering wheel, what all do you have over here?
Steering wheel, you have everything you have basically on another Infiniti. Here's your controls for the radio, volume. Here's a nice feature which we will talk about, is it has adaptive cruise and it has lane departure assist. So what that means is if you're driving down the road, the car will essentially drive itself. If you're driving down and you're drifting over into another lane, it will bump you back over into the other lane. Also, it will slow you down.
Okay, hold on, stop real quick. So when you're saying basically that this car basically can pick up the lines on the road, it's watching the lines, and if you deviate from it, it bumps you back into the road?
Correct. And then also if you wanted to go on a long, even cruising through town, you can set the cruise control and it will take you, some cruise control systems will stop when you're under 25 miles an hour. This system will take you down to a complete stop.
Got it. So and also keep you in lane. I mean, it's not an autonomous car. You're not going to drive it without somebody in it, of course. You still need to be alert, pay attention, watch what's going on, don't text and drive, all those things that we talk a lot about. You still need to be safe, but this car helps you be safer by making sure you stay between the lines.
And I would say that this is the closest that a car company has come, and I think that they are on the forefront of the technology when it comes to autonomous cars. So it's a great car, great system, especially safety-wise. So really,
sunroof above your head up here?
A sunroof, not quite as big as the Lexus LX or some of the other ones.
That's a downside. This car has enough roof line in it where they could have made a much larger sunroof. So again, that's a little tick I'm going to put against it. It ought to have a bigger sunroof in it. So Infiniti, if you're listening, put a bigger sunroof in this car. It's got more than enough roof room to allow you to do that.
And I will say that this as well is these lights, real quick. I don't want to bash Infiniti again. They feel cheaply made for an $80,000 car.
Well, and they don't have the you could do LEDs.
They don't have LEDs.
Directional lighting in that. And again, that's some of the things. And we haven't seen a 2015 yet to see what kind of refreshing has been done. They've done refreshing on the outside as far as looks, and also on the inside. But Richard, overall, what do you think of this car?
Overall, I mean, for what we've said, I still give it 4 out of 5 stars. I think that it's a solid car. For $80,000, that's what you would expect.
It's nicely made, but it's a lot of money.
Exactly. You're going to get about 16 miles to the gallon average throughout the city. It has enough power. It's great. It's very luxurious. The seats don't feel like you're crammed in here. You have more than enough room.
By the way, it's a very luxurious car. You can kind of see the color change on the piping, which is kind of nice. They've done a really, really good job. And again, to the Infiniti standard that they've set as far as their interiors go, this car meets and exceeds all of those things that you would expect an Infiniti to do. But you know what? I'm anxious to see what the 2015 looks like, and hopefully we'll have a press car and be able to check that out. But anything else you want to add to this, Richard?
Not really. If you go to your Infiniti or Nissan dealer, go ahead and tell them that Richard and John from Drive Radio sent you, and have a great morning.